Welcome to the Moms Interrupted podcast.
Back with your favorite girlies, Natasha and Taylor.
Your favorite mamas. We were just talking about how we hate when people start videos with, hey mamas.
Hey mamas, so I know you've been asking a lot.
Hey interrupted mamas.
So bad.
Anyway, I might wear this sweater for every episode until I give birth. So I'm just giving everyone a heads up. If you watch these videos, I might look like this every day.
I just think that that's the end of pregnancy.
And I definitely have some stains on it. So
can't tell, it's dark.
Perfect.
The end of pregnancy, you have like maybe two things that still fit. And then you're like, well, this is what I wear.
And
that's it.
The mental capacity to choose is just gone at this point.
And the physical capacity to get anything on. It is next. You just can't.
Yeah, I'll be putting on pants and I'll be like, and my husband's like, are you okay?
You're like, no,
I'm not. Unwell.
Yeah.
Unwell.
I'm not.
We always have little catch-up notes at the beginning of each episode, and all I wrote, Natasha's is blank. And all I wrote was, I'm tired. That's all. That's my only update.
My update is that I'm going to be leaving my kids for the first time since before I got pregnant with my second.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm going on one of my oldest and best friend's bachelorette party.
And I knew this because she shares my Canva account, and I just recently saw that she put together the bachelorette itinerary. And I was like, this isn't a Moms Interrupted branded thing.
Okay, in my defense, I made my own Canva account, and Taylor was like, "Why did you do that? We shouldn't both be paying for it."
Yeah.
So now I just use it as my personal account too, because I'm like, "Well, you told me."
And I think you're leaving right when I give birth, probably.
I leave on the 19th.
Yeah, that's game time, baby. That's when my mom arrives.
Good luck.
19th. Good luck. I'll have a baby when you get back.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I'm leaving my kids, my daughter
with your husband.
Yeah. For the first time. And my son, I haven't left since he's 4 now. Let's see. I mean, I haven't left him in like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So crazy. I have anxiety about it.
For
obviously.
2 nights?
2 nights. And it's a driving trip. Like we're just going somewhere relatively close by. So, that's the only reason I'm like actually able to do it. I have so much anxiety about leaving my kids and going on an airplane away from them.
Me too.
It
gives me more anxiety than I would have fun.
Exactly.
That's just like where I'm at right now.
Me too. Like it gives me more anxiety than the fun is worth to me. And I just can't do it. And I've tried and I've had to cancel, and then I feel guilty about canceling. And I just am like, okay, I'm going to try this because I'm driving and I'm taking my own car. And if worse comes to worse, I can just leave.
Yeah. And you're in your prime right now. The prime for me was like, once I got past like the 18-month mark, I was like, okay, I can like do things again. Yes. And so you have to take advantage.
Yes. And I told my husband, I was like, okay, you realize I'm going on this trip in 2 weeks. And he was like, we're in a good spot. It's okay. You can it's good.
Yeah.
I can handle it. And that made me feel so much better.
Yeah. He can handle it.
But yeah, like done breastfeeding. She sleeps mostly through the night, and if she doesn't, like it's a quick, she wants something like a water bottle or something.
Baba.
And or she'll say Snuggie.
Oh,
I know,
that's really cute.
It's so cute. So I feel like we're in a good spot. And my son's fine because he's reasonable because he's 4. So I'll be back in 2 nights, and he'll be like, okay, 2 sleeps. He understands.
Yeah.
So I just feel like we're good.
I love it.
And obviously my in-laws are coming down to help because so yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with me.
I love it.
And today, why does your foot look so weird?
I think because my sock's on weird.
Oh, okay. It looked like you had a growth. Today we're going to be talking about formula
and breastfeeding.
Okay.
Well, formula and breast milk. Like we're getting.
Yeah.
Did I say milk?
Yeah, you did.
Breast milk.
Yeah.
Is that really right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I hate saying milk.
Breast milk.
Because we're not talking about the act necessarily of breastfeeding. We're talking about just the biochemical differences between formula and breast milk.
And we're also talking about the fact that you have to pick one or a combination of the two for the first year of your baby's life. So it's something that's necessary to talk about because it's something universally that everyone provides for their babies. Like in the whole world, everyone for the first year provides breast milk or formula or a combination of the two. And so
yeah. And also I feel like as lactation educators, it's our duty to not only ever talk about breastfeeding, like breastfeeding challenges. Here's how to breastfeed in the first two. It's like in this day and age, because formula is so common and so widely used, it's necessary to have the conversations about combo feeding, what both are, what are the benefits and risks, because if women don't know going into it, then are they really making informed decisions?
Right. Well, and that's two things I want to say. That's what happened to me the first time, because I knew nothing about breastfeeding or formula feeding, and I just went into it and was like, I don't know, figure it out. Isn't that what everybody does? And so I combo fed my son for a multitude of reasons, but I did not feel like I had informed decision making. And a lot of people, like I work at a breastfeeding clinic, and a lot of people will come in and be like, nobody told me XYZ. Not that it would necessarily change your decision making, but just like it doesn't feel good to make decisions and not have all of the information, and then learn something and go back and be like, I wish like I knew that, you know? So that's what we want this episode to be, is like, hey, like if you're pregnant or any scenario you're in, we want to talk about the data. We're never going to tell you what to do, but we want to give you all of the information so that you can make an informed decision, so that you don't look back on your journey and say like, oh, I wish somebody would have told me these things.
Yeah. And I think too, you can talk about the benefits, risks, all the different combinations in which you can feed without talking about one being better or worse than the other, in terms of like, there's so many external factors, right? Like we have to acknowledge back to work in America, like all of these different decisions. And so no one should ever feel guilty about their feeding choice.
Right.
We just want to make sure that the feeding choice is a choice. Right. And women who don't know their options don't have any options.
Yes.
And I love that saying. A midwife told me that during my childbirth education training, and it stuck with me, because similar to how if you're going into birth and you're told you should just get induced, but you don't actually know the benefits and risks or alternatives to being induced, then you actually have no options.
That actually happened to me also the first time.
Yeah.
And that's what's made me so passionate about all of this stuff. If you don't have all of the information, how can you make an informed decision?
Yeah. And I just don't get how we came to a place with the formula and breastfeeding conversation where it got so polarized, and why we can't talk about all the benefits of breast milk without bashing formula. It's like those are totally different conversations.
Nothing is about bashing one or the other. Yeah. It's very, very difficult to talk about now, because as soon as you say the benefits of one thing, people instantly come to its defense of the alternative. And that's not what we're doing here. Yeah. We're just talking about the data, the science, and we acknowledge that everybody's got to do what works for them, right? It's the same thing when you talk about sleep and sleep training and co-sleeping and all of the options surrounding sleep. We're not telling you what to do.
For feeding, yeah.
For feeding. We're just talking about what the options are and what the information is. Yeah. The other thing that we want to just say here is this isn't a moral debate. Like, we're not debating anything. Yeah. You have to feed your baby. Obviously, no one is debating whether or not you should feed the baby. That's the baseline. Right. So it's not a moral thing. It's just, there's a lot of external factors. Predatory marketing influences us a lot, and we should also be educated on that. These are multi-billion-dollar companies with huge million-dollar marketing campaigns.
Yeah, that influence paid leave, influence multiple factors.
And hire celebrities who have influence, and we're just saying to be aware of those things. There's no money in breastfeeding. That's why you don't see multi-million-dollar ad campaigns for breastfeeding. And so it's super important for people to just talk about all of the different facets. As moms, you probably know the maternity leave in the US sucks. Yeah. And that's a huge win for formula companies, because it's proven that when women don't have paid leave, they choose formula because of course.
It's the number one influencer on if someone will continue to exclusively breastfeed. It's going back to work.
Right.
In America.
Because like, duh.
Yeah, duh.
Everything's stacked up against you.
Yeah. Who wants to pump in their office all day? And women do it and they are warriors.
Right.
But like, it's not fun.
But also that stuff influences your supply.
Yeah.
So people go back to work and their supply is down and they're like, this just isn't worth all of the work. And it's exhausting and it's also depressing. Yeah. When you see your supply going down because you went back to work and you're pumping and you're just not getting what your baby needs, it's gut wrenching. Yeah. So anyways, we'll move on.
As breastfeeding educators, we learn this. This statistic still shocks me. So in 2019, the CDC reported that 83% of infants start out receiving some sort of breast milk. So combo feeding, etc. So I just want people to realize, because I see a lot of things online about how I was pressured to breastfeed. Everyone was telling me it was the right move. I had to do this. I had to do this. I just want to level set about what the reality is in America. And the reality is by 6 months, only 24% of infants are getting any breast milk.
So not even exclusively, just getting some. And when you look at the data around the world, you'll see that the better the paid leave is, the higher the breastfeeding rates. Right. And health organizations around the world know this, and it's proven data year after year after year. But the US doesn't care. Yeah. Essentially. Yeah. And then on that note, I think we should just start talking about the risks and benefits of breastfeeding and formula feeding.
I could geek out on breast milk.
I know. The thing is, and I am in IBCLC training. So I'm in a program right now and I'm going to sit for the IBCLC exam. When I'm working in the clinic and I'm working in the hospital, there is a medical indication when formula is necessary and medically indicated and babies need it, and we recommend it. It is serving a purpose. It is life-saving. There's a reason why it exists. No one is saying that formula is evil. We're not pitting formula against breastfeeding moms. Sometimes breastfeeding moms have to use formula in the short term, in the long term. As breastfeeding educators, we're not saying never use formula, but what we do want to talk about is the risks and benefits. Breast milk is the biological norm for human babies. That's just a fact. And some people will be mad about that statement. But just like cow's milk is the milk for cow babies, human milk is milk for human babies. Yeah.
And I'm also just really sick of the narrative where it's like, if you state the true fact that breast milk is not the same as formula. No. They are different. Yes. In many, many ways, which we will go into, you are immediately attacked for hating on formula, which in my eyes is just like, are we not living in a world where we all want to be informed and educated and stating scientific facts? It's just like, why are we ignoring these things?
You shouldn't feel shame or guilt about doing what you got to do, but you should be informed on the facts. And I combo fed my first, and I don't feel shame about that. Right. I did what I had to do. I made the best decision with the information that I had in front of me. Right. That being said, I didn't have all of the information, and I don't know if that would have changed my choices, but I do look back, and the only thing that makes me feel bad about it is that I didn't have all of the information. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So we're going to talk about what breast milk is, and what you had just said is we're not coming for formula when we're stating all of these facts. So I want you to remember that when we're talking about this, we're just stating what breast milk is, what it's clinically proven as. So disclaimer.
Yeah. And I think we can immediately move past the fact that breast milk has nutrients similar to formula. So there's vitamins, there's calories.
Yes. Formula is made to mimic breast milk. It is labeled and marketed and sold as a breast milk substitute. Every formula that is on the market is highly regulated because it needs to have exactly what your baby needs to gain and grow. That being said, what's made in a lab cannot mimic what is biologically made by your body. It's just not possible. You can't get everything into that formulation that your body naturally makes.
I feel like the number one difference between breast milk and formula is you have to call out that it's a living organism. Yes. So there are millions of live cells, including stem cells, and it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And another big thing, which relates to that, is that breast milk isn't a stagnant substance. So it changes, it adapts, and it's constantly changing, whether you're sick and you're giving different antibodies to your infant, or, you know, it changes from the morning to the night with different prolactin levels. It changes from colostrum in the beginning to more mature milk. It changes even when your infant is 1 year plus, the composition changes. You can't mimic that. You'd have to be making 100 different formulas.
Right.
To try to mimic that. There's no live formulas.
Right. There's just no way to make that in a lab. And the thing with breast milk, in addition to that, that's really cool is like when the baby latches on to the breast, there's signals that go from the baby to mom's brain and say, this is what baby needs right now. And then your body adapts, right? Like you said, with immune cells and just like composition throughout the day. Like in the morning, it's more watery and that helps baby have a bowel movement. And then in the evening, it has higher levels of melatonin and it makes baby sleepy, and it has a higher fat content, a lower water composition, and that helps baby sleep, right? It's telling baby, okay, this is the time that we sleep longer. So there's just so many little things like that that cannot be man-made. And although formula is approved and highly regulated substance that is a substitute for breast milk, it doesn't have those capabilities, and that's just something to call out.
Yeah.
Something that you should know.
Yeah. So what's really interesting is, first of all, I want to call out there actually are very little studies on breast milk.
Yes.
So we are only just now starting to understand how complex and intricate breast milk is. And actually, we're lucky enough to live in San Diego, where UCSD has one of the only institutes for research specifically into breast milk. So that's really cool that we're right next to it.
Yeah.
There are more studies done on tomatoes and wine than human milk. It's a fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just follow the money.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, of course, wine is studied because there's money in wine. And tomatoes, yeah, I guess we eat that and there's a lot of tomatoes and stuff. So that's an interesting one, though.
A lactation educator did this talk once and I listened to it and that stuck in my mind because I was like, whoa. Yeah. This is a human bodily fluid.
That every single baby requires either that or a substitute. And it's crazy.
It's crazy. And we know as women, this is the status quo, is there's always way more research on the male body than the female body. And we are missing out on some really cool scientific information about breast milk because it is what we already know is insane.
Right.
So I can't even imagine.
Okay, two things. So something that just came out in the past couple of years that was crazy to me about studies. I read this article and it was about how back in the day when they started studying men and women and just human species in general, they were like, women have too many hormones, so they're too difficult to study. So we're just going to study men.
Oh, perfect.
And then we're going to say that women are on average like 80% or 75% the size of men. So we'll just say it's the same, just smaller. So that's how they used to make studies.
Literally, don't get me started. This is how the due date started.
Yes.
A male doctor decided that he was going to create a due date based on every woman having the exact same cycle.
Right.
No one has the exact same cycle.
Right. So that's the first thing. Oh, the other thing about studies is they put breast milk in a petri dish with cancer cells, and the breast milk attacked the cancer cells and killed it.
Like, have you ever looked at breast milk under a...
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's crazy. I highly recommend YouTubing it.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Breast milk is just so cool.
It's because like an alien.
Because it's alive. Yeah. And it just like, it has a job and it knows what to do.
So what I was going to say about how there's not a lot of studies is there are studies on what we've talked about with the antibodies about how it can help prevent or just lessen the severity of many diseases.
Oh, yeah.
So I was even looking up things like rotavirus. It can lessen the severity majorly of
the leading cause of death in infants worldwide is diarrhea. And what's really cool about breastfeeding is that, so that plays into like rotavirus, like you were just talking about, because that's a GI disease.
Yeah.
And so what's cool about breastfeeding is that breastfeeding protects babies from diarrhea. And so the number one recommendation is breastfeeding when your baby has diarrhea, because it keeps their gut microbiome healthy and the pH of the gut is more acidic. So that's a better environment for your baby's gut. Formula fed babies have a more basic or neutral gut, and that's just not an ideal gut pH balance. Also, breast milk by design has less iron in it, and that's better for the gut. Formula is iron fortified. And so low iron in the gut is good for diarrhea. It has the presence of bifidus factor, which promotes the intestinal presence of lactobacillus bifidus, which crowds out pathogenic organisms. The presence of hormones such as prostaglandins, GI hormones, and prolactin, antimicrobial activity boosters, antibodies, including SIGA, which babies are born without SIGA and they get it through colostrum. And so babies that are immediately formula fed, they don't get that through colostrum. So anyways, just some really cool facts, because that's the leading cause of death of infants, is diarrhea, and breastfeeding protects against it. So it just...
Yeah. Even when my son had RSV at 8 weeks, and I was asking my pediatrician, like, what can I do? What can I do? And she was like, keep breastfeeding, because studies show that it lessens the severity of all of these different things. And the antibodies that I was giving him, because he had this, and she was like, just hydrate with your breast milk.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to say, because people always ask about breastfeeding versus pumping. So there is a hierarchy, right? Like if in an ideal world, you would have baby at the breast, but obviously that's not always possible. And so pumping, of course, is the next best option. What's awesome about breast milk is that baby latching on sends signals to the brain to tell your brain what baby needs, but you are also getting signals from what you inhale.
I love this fact.
Right? Okay. One time I got advice from an IBCLC.
I was with you.
Yes, because my son was sick, and she was like, just go sit in a preschool classroom and get exposed to all of their germs, and then your body will literally make antibodies, and your baby will get protection through your breast milk because you have been exposed through the air that you're breathing. So I just want to give that fun fact for pumping mamas, because
it's just crazy,
because your baby is getting that protection.
Our bodies are so insane.
So cool. And the other thing that I want to talk about that I don't feel like people talk about enough, but breastfeeding is protective for mom's health.
Yes. Can I geek out on this for a second in relation to birth?
Yes.
Because people skip out on talking about birth and how it relates to breastfeeding.
Yes.
And don't realize there's connections there.
Yes.
So the minute you give birth and your infant starts to suck on your breast, you are protecting yourself against postpartum hemorrhage.
Yes.
And it can help shrink your uterus back to its pre-pregnancy size, and it helps lessen bleeding. And people don't talk about that enough. And I even remember going through the training, learning this stuff, but to experience it, like every time my baby would latch onto me, I feel it. You feel it. I feel the contractions and the uterus shrinking down.
And your body will do that. Like that's the normal process.
Yes.
But breastfeeding promotes it.
Right.
And there are lower risks.
Yes.
If you are breastfeeding, because people will say, of course, like, well, my body did that and I didn't breastfeed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, of course, but there are risks involved, right? Higher risks.
Right. It just lessens the postpartum bleeding.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is huge.
Yes.
There are so many ways in which interventions you get during birth can impact your breastfeeding journey, and I think that is a whole other episode topic, because we could get real in the weeds. But long story short, the benefits of breastfeeding for the breastfeeding mother starts immediately from birth. So that is, the point that a lot of people miss.
So just some of the benefits to mom.
These are so cool.
So breastfeeding isn't just a baby health conversation. It's a maternal health conversation too. Nursing a baby for a year or more decreases the risk of hypertension, hyperlipidemia, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease in postmenopausal women by 10 to 15%. That's not a small amount.
No.
Women who do not breastfeed are at greater risk of breast, ovarian, and endometrial cancers. Childbearing women who do not breastfeed have a 50% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes later in life. So those are just a few risk factors for moms who do not breastfeed, and just something to know, because nobody will tell you that.
Nobody will tell you that. And I do think part of it is because obviously there's money behind all these machines, stuff like that. But also there is such a big shame factor now in this. And for some reason, we've gone to this point where you cannot point out benefits and risks of things without feeling like you might trigger the wrong emotion.
I also think it just gets lost in the system, right? Your OB doesn't have time to do a full-blown sit down with you educational session. And then your pediatrician is worried about baby, and you never see your OB again after you give birth. Right?
So unless you're actively seeking out
education,
then why would you seek it out if you think you don't have these risks or benefits?
Or you're like, I don't want to do it.
Right.
Like, totally. And so the system is set up so that you'll fall through the cracks if you're not seeking out this information on your own. Yeah. And I just think it's such a huge thing to know. Like, there are risks and benefits to your own health. And that's important too, not just baby's health.
Yeah. I also think that we live in a culture where there is a big narrative that breast milk and formula are the same thing.
No,
it's a big, I know. But it's a huge narrative out there. And I think that we've gone to a point where we can't acknowledge that they are both amazing in many different ways. Right. And that each come with different benefits, risks, pros, cons. And, you know, it's up to you to make that informed decision.
Right. Yes.
But no one's going to hand you a pamphlet that says, here are the benefits of breastfeeding.
Right.
You have to seek out a breastfeeding education course.
Yeah. Okay, so recommendations from not only US-based health organizations, but also international, worldwide organizations are that they recommend exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life, then continued breastfeeding with feeding of solid foods.
Up to 2+ years.
Up to 2+ years. Like, as long as you and baby want to do it, keep on going.
Yeah. There is a huge myth out there that breast milk has no benefits past 1 year. And I just want to totally debunk that. And if you think about all of the things we listed before, this rattles my bones. Yeah. But it's like, even if you are no longer doing it for nutritional reasons, you may be doing it for antibody reasons.
Or like for emotional reasons. Yeah. Like my baby just liked it so much. And it was our cozy, snuggly time.
Anytime my baby was sick or was getting a vaccine or anything, I'd be like, here's breast milk.
A glass. Here's straight from the tap. Glass.
Because it helps boost the immune system.
And it has so many
other benefits
to everybody. I mean,
so if someone tells you that,
my daughter cried so much, the benefit after 1 year to me was like, shut up, here you go.
Yeah, totally.
It helps with sleep because it makes both mom and baby sleepy.
Yeah.
There are hormones released. Like, I was just rounding on a patient in the hospital and she was like, is it normal that breastfeeding makes me so sleepy? And I was like, yes, that is by design, because you need to rest and recover, and it gives you hormones to make you sleepy, because after birth you have so much adrenaline.
Yeah. Can we talk about the breast crawl for a second?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'd love to.
So in birth education, like, one of the first things you learn about once baby is out is the breast crawl. And if you haven't looked up a video of what the breast crawl is, I highly suggest you do, because I think it is one of the coolest things you could ever watch having to do with humanity. There is the scent of amniotic fluid dripping from your breasts. And the infant smells, it smells like what they were smelling in the womb. So they know, if they are placed on your stomach, how to do a breast crawl to find your nipple and start sucking at the breast. You don't even have to put them there.
Yep.
If you let nature do its thing and sit back and wait for the breast crawl.
And this is amazing. And
I'm getting shivers. that's if, you know, nothing was interrupted physiologically during birth.
Of course.
But after a normal physiological birth,
right.
That's what happens.
Right. There's something to call out there with interventions with birth, because if your baby didn't do that and you had any interventions, epidural, induction, any medication, it can make babies sleepy, and they may not do that, or they may have needed to be separated for a bit. But that is the normal physiological process. And if we allow that to happen, that's what baby will do, because that's their instinct. They smell the amniotic fluid on your nipple. So cool. That's why, as a breastfeeding educator, I love the laid back nursing position.
Yeah.
Because it allows baby to get there. It can often be called a biological position. Like, there's a bunch of different names for it, or like natural breastfeeding, but it's just sitting back, propped up a little bit. And baby is, like you said, skin to skin on your chest. You're leaned back, and it allows for baby to get there on their own. They sort of get their head to the nipple. You're sitting there obviously supporting them, because, you know, they're basically a blob at that point. But the fact that they can get there biologically through instinct is like,
it's so cool.
The coolest thing to see.
It's so cool.
So cool. Okay, so we talked about breast milk, and we could talk about breast milk for literal fucking ages, because we're such geeks, and the more you learn about it, the more like obsessed you will become. And I swear, if you go down this rabbit hole with us, you will also be obsessed. But we're going to pivot, and we're going to start talking about formula. And one thing that I want to start with is, in the US, infant formula must meet FDA nutrient specifications, minimums for 29 nutrients and maximums for 9. Nutritionally, formula is designed to support normal growth, and it does. It's a tightly regulated food. So, starting with that, formula is made as a very specific formula to support infant growth, and it does.
Yeah.
Period. It is made as a substitute for breast milk when medically indicated or mom chooses, and it is just that, a substitute.
Yeah. That should never come with the mom feeling any type of way for choosing one or the other.
Of course not.
I feel like the choice, because when talking about formula versus breast milk, one of the biggest things about this conversation is the choice, right? And being informed. And that choice really starts on day one in the hospital. And how your hospital stay goes really dictates how your breastfeeding journey is going to go.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really important to call out.
And the different hospitals, right?
Yes.
And like, you get assigned a hospital based on who your OB is. So it really starts like from the beginning, because depending who your OB is and like what their outlook is, and then which hospital you go to, and what their breastfeeding rates are, what their C-section rates are, what their rates are of intervention, what their policies are on breastfeeding and formula. Yeah. And all of this stuff affects your choices.
Hospitals are not allowed to take free formula from companies and promote it.
No, but they have contracts with formula companies, and they are exclusive. They have exclusive rights to give their...
But not if they're a baby-friendly hospital, right?
Well, of course. So that's different. Hospitals are allowed to do that, but baby-friendly hospitals are not allowed to have any promotion of even bottles.
I want to start the baby-friendly convo by saying we've seen videos from moms saying that they felt that the push to breastfeed was intense at baby-friendly hospitals. And I think that's a really interesting narrative, because then you should talk about how many moms go in knowing what they want to do. And if you are going in knowing that you want to formula feed, your experience at the hospital stay will be a little different depending on what kind of hospital you're in.
Right.
But it is my perspective as a lactation educator that it is not on the hospital to supply formula for babies if that is your decision, right? they are there to make sure baby and mom are healthy during the duration of the stay.
Okay, so back to what baby friendly is and isn't. The whole baby friendly initiative started as an initiative from health organizations to try to promote breastfeeding and get US breastfeeding rates up.
Yeah.
And so there are 10 steps to become designated as a baby friendly hospital. And the goal there is to promote breastfeeding and to educate on it and to have support. And so to be designated as baby friendly, you have to follow all of these steps and implement all of these policies. But there's also a financial factor. Hospitals have to pay for this designation. So what California has done in the last year, I want to say, is there was a law passed that all hospitals in California have, I think, through 2026 to figure this out, but they have to implement all 10 steps of baby friendly requirements, but they're getting rid of the designation status so that hospitals that maybe aren't as profitable don't have a barrier to entry. So it's cool because it's leveling the playing field, right, for lower income communities because those hospitals maybe can't afford to become baby friendly, but it's by law required that they follow this step. So this is just really awesome. This is stuff that I geek out on. But the 10 steps for baby friendly are no advertising of breast milk substitutes to families. So no advertising means like no posters of formula in the hospital, no free samples or supplies in the healthcare system, no promotion of products through healthcare facilities, including no free or low cost formula, no contact between marketing personnel and mothers. So they can't have reps come in and give out samples. They can't mail it to your house.
I literally get formula sent to my house.
Me too.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. No gifts or personal samples to healthcare workers. No words or pictures idealizing artificial feeding, including pictures of infants on the labels or products. Information to healthcare workers should be scientific and factual only, meaning like no marketing campaigns. All information on artificial feeding, including labels, should explain the benefits of breastfeeding and the costs and hazards associated with artificial feeding. Unsuitable products should not be promoted for babies. All products should be of high quality and take account of the climate and storage conditions of the country where they are used. So those are the 10 steps to becoming a baby-friendly hospital. The other things that baby-friendly hospitals promote are rooming in, which we're proponents of. You know, there's negative things on the internet and noise around, well, mom needs help and there should be nurseries so that mom can have a break. And mom does need help and she should have a break, but that doesn't mean baby needs to be taken away.
Right.
Like I agree.
Yeah.
But also the baby can stay next to me.
Right.
So there's something in the middle. There's a middle option there.
Yeah. But America's really bad at like middle.
Totally. Right. Like people are like, it's this or this. And it's like, well, there's probably something in the middle that people would agree with on both sides.
Yeah.
Freaking out. So we're just going to talk about a few of the key evidence-based risks of formula that, again, we feel like nobody tells you because obviously in marketing campaigns, they're not going to say these are the risks, right? We just saw a major outbreak of botulism with the ByHeart formula, and that was devastating. And
it's happening right now with Nestle.
Is it?
Yes. There have been infant deaths from.
It's life-threatening. Yeah. And because there's so much marketing and promotion of formula, I just don't feel like anyone really talks about what the actual risks are. Obviously, there's risks like when there was the infant formula shortage, right? There's stuff like that where people can't get their hands on it.
Which was big during COVID.
Yes.
30% of parents who were formula feeding their infants stated that they couldn't access formula.
I had people calling me from other states being like, can you check your local Target to see if they have this formula? It's the only one my baby will eat. There's just so many different factors, right? Obviously, there are challenges with breastfeeding, but it's not just saying that when you choose to formula feed, all of those factors go away. Maybe those challenges go away, but you're introducing new challenges.
Yes.
So it's not a fix, it's just a risk benefit.
Yes.
It's its own thing.
It's an analysis. Yeah. That's such a good point because there are so many things to overcome when you're breastfeeding.
Sure.
And there are things to recognize and overcome with formula feeding.
Of course.
And you have to acknowledge both if you're going to talk about breastfeeding struggles, which are talked about. all the time.
Yes. We're not going to go into that because we've talked about that so much. And you can check out basically any of our other episodes talking about breastfeeding and all of the things.
We're not here saying breastfeeding is all rainbows and butterflies. We're the first people to acknowledge it is hard work.
Yes. And we are also the first people to say it is hard work, but sometimes hard things are worth it.
Yeah.
And also, formula feeding isn't necessarily not hard work.
Right.
So it's like sometimes things are just hard. And
don't even get me started with the article recently about how formula feeding is the secret to a good marriage. We don't even need to go there.
Yeah, I just started like sweating. So real quick, some evidence-based risks of formula. So powdered formula is not sterile. If you receive formula in the hospital, it's going to be the ready-made kind, which means it's already mixed with water, because that is the only way to ensure that it's sterile, because it's been treated with boiling water, cooled down to room temperature. So when you're getting powdered formula, it is not sterile. It can contain germs like Chronobacter, and the CDC explicitly states this and notes liquid ready to feed formula is sterile. That being said, it's more expensive. So that's why people usually don't buy it, and it's less readily available.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're technically supposed to boil water. CDC guidelines include using hot water, 158 degrees Fahrenheit, to reduce risk when using powdered formula. And that's the only thing that's going to kill things like Chronobacter, botulism.
And this is a really key point. Is similar to how people are not told all the benefits of breastfeeding for the infant, for the mother. People are not told how to accurately prepare formula.
Crazy stat. And this was just on my exam, so I know it like this. 77% of women report that they were not told how to properly feed their baby formula. Like no one ever told them.
Because it's just something you get on the shelf, and it's something that an influencer is like, buy this, woo, scoop it in.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I wouldn't know how. I would have to, because you're not taught how.
No. So I just want people to know, as lactation consultants, we are infant feeding specialists. So that means that we are educated on the risks and benefits of each option. And we are also there to help you if you choose to formula feed.
Yeah. You have to be a master in all forms of feeding.
Yes.
If in my studies, I did not learn how to properly feed with formula. Yeah. And I had extensive breastfeeding studies.
Right.
So the fact that I wasn't getting that knowledge means, you know, the average person is for sure not.
Yeah, of course
For sure not.
Of course not.
Like I wouldn't know the first thing.
Right. Even if you buy one of those machines that makes the bottles for you, room temp water. It's not boiling it and cooling it down.
My mind is kind of blown right now.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Every time you're supposed to heat it.
Every single time. That's the recommendation.
What?
Yeah. So powdered infant formula can be contaminated with Chronobacter, and that organism has a mortality rate of up to 80%. And that just comes from the problems in cleanliness at these factories.
I just want people to recognize like the biggest risk, in my opinion, of formula that's not spoken about enough is that it is a business trying to make money.
Yes.
Because that's what all of this falls down on is they are skimping on factory quality and paying influencers millions of dollars for ad campaigns.
And it goes back to the predatory marketing. It's like, I'm a mom and I chose this. And it's like, okay, great. But like, do you know anything about this factory? Do you know anything about what they're actually doing and what the production is like and how they like...
Also, can I just say, we only see the worst of the worst recalls. But if you Google all of the different recalls, it's happening quite a bit. Yes, so just keep that in the back of your mind. It's not always going to be on the New York Times front page.
Right.
Like the By Heart one was.
Right.
Like they're happening.
Yeah,
I didn't even know about the Nestle one until I was researching for this podcast episode and was like, oh my God, infants have died.
Yeah.
And this is recent. It's happening right now.
And it's international. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So this is not to villainize formula.
Never.
And it's not to villainize moms who make those choices. The other thing that I really quickly want to talk about is necrotizing enterocolitis. We just saw a big story about a NICU baby who was given formula who died from this. And the parents said, we didn't know that was a risk of giving the baby formula in the NICU. So babies are born with a super naive gut and they need help. right? Like they're not fully formed. The gut doesn't close until they're closer to 6 months. And so colostrum, your first milk, is protective of the gut. It's like that like molasses-like substance. It has a ton of antibodies that babies born without. You know, people call it liquid gold, and they don't, formula doesn't have those things. And the risk is that it makes the gut more basic or neutral, and it doesn't have the protective qualities that colostrum does. And so feeding the baby formula in the first few days of life, especially preterm babies in the NICU, it does have a risk of necrotizing enterocolitis, and it can be fatal. And so
this is why the breast milk bank at UCSD, the milk is so expensive for your average mother to purchase it, because top priority goes to the NICU babies at UCSD.
And if your baby is in the NICU, you can get a prescription for it and get it from the milk bank,
which is so cool.
So cool. And that is the recommendation, right? Like if you can't provide the milk for your baby, the recommendation, especially if they're in the NICU, to get human milk from a donor. And I just want people to be aware of that, because it is a risk. And we do talk about formula as a substitute. And a lot of times preterm babies are not able to breastfeed because they just don't have the suck skills to do it. And that is a risk of being preterm. And so they need to be tube fed or supplemented, all of these things. But you just need to be educated on that is a risk. And if you can provide colostrum or your own milk or get human donor milk, especially for these preterm babies, it is so beneficial for them. And also what's really cool about your milk when your baby is preterm is your body knows that your baby's preterm. And it is proven in new studies that we have that your body makes especially protective milk for those at-risk babies. So just really cool stuff to think about. Geeking out. Okay.
I think what's interesting is we've talked about all the like data driven benefits and risks, right? A lot of people talk about the benefits of formula versus breastfeeding, but in terms of lifestyle, but those are opinion based. So it's going to differ per person.
Yeah.
You know, I would always argue that for me, breastfeeding was just always easier. My boob was there. It's at the right temperature. I don't have to mix anything, wash anything. It's there.
Not to say that there weren't challenges in the beginning. Like you had to learn and you had to figure it out. And we want to acknowledge that there's a learning curve and you have to get over the hump for it to get easy.
Yeah. Benefits for someone else might be, you know, I have to go to work and my husband has to feed half the time. So there's so many different ways to go about that. And that's why I feel like talking about lifestyle pros is really hard, because it is very opinion based, in my opinion.
Yes, of course.
In my opinion.
Yeah. In my experience. So breastfeeding lifestyle costs, obviously when you have a baby, there's like sleep fragmentation, but that's how it's going to be regardless. So when people talk about sleep, I'm like, because it's proven.
I hate the myth that if you give a bottle or formula, like they're going to sleep longer.
That's not true.
It is one of the biggest myths I see floating around social media.
It's floating all around.
Crazy. It's floating around everywhere.
Like give your baby formula, they'll sleep longer.
Where is this coming from?
Anecdotal opinions. People are like, well, my baby had formula. It's like, well, they were probably going to sleep anyway. That's probably just their temperament.
Totally.
It's all temperament anyway.
Yeah.
My baby was never going to sleep.
Right. It's all temperament.
We'll say it again. So that's the sleep thing. And then obviously with lifestyle costs, there's like, you know, you're the one, it's your body. Your body might not feel like your own.
Yeah.
But sorry, you're the mom. That's just biologically normal. I hate this argument. People are like, well, then nobody else can help me. Yeah. Like you're the mom and you signed up to have a kid. Maybe you didn't know that it was going to be all on you, but let me just tell you, it's going to be all on you. And your husband can help with other things. You can get support for the other things, but let's just talk about how like life isn't 50-50. And when you're the mom and you're signing up for this, yes, you have to be pregnant. Yes, you have to give birth. Yes, you breastfeed. Yes, all of that's on you. That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, though, it's like if you don't want it to all fall on you, then great. That is a decision.
That's a decision. Sure. But buckle up because you're going to be disappointed. Yeah. And I talk about this all the time. Set your expectations. If you're expecting to go into motherhood being 50-50, I don't know, the first 3 years of my kid's life, my kid didn't really want the dad or anybody else.
To be fair, my marriage and partnership in being a parent feels very 50-50, and I fed like a handful of bottles to my kid.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm just letting people know, like, my husband pulls weight in an infinite amount of ways that had nothing to do with feeding. And I feel totally 50-50 in our marriage.
And same. I mean, especially now that my son is 4. So let me just tell you, like, if you're in the infant days, like, yeah, it's harder on the mom. But now that my son is 4, he's like, bye, mom. Yeah. I'm going with dad. Where's my dad? Where's my dad? So
it's
like,
a phase.
It's temporary, you know, and that's something that I don't think that people think about. Like, they're just thinking right now, I need to be 50-50. Like, it's going to be 50-50 later. Or in my case, my husband does all the stuff with my son mostly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but babies want their mommies.
Yeah.
A bit about like the formula lifestyle pros and cons, right? So people talk about how anybody can feed. It's quantifiable. Yeah. You can see the amount of ounces that the baby gets,
right?
Which people love because everything's datafied in our society, and it's really hard to let go and trust the process, right? So like, I get that. Yeah. I've been there. People say it helps with schedules, but like also that's anecdotal. That's not data driven. And then the costs, which to me, well, I'll leave my opinion out of it, but the costs are like the financial costs, right? It costs money. Right. Not to say there aren't financial costs with breastfeeding, because there are.
People are always like, you got to buy the pillow.
Right.
You got to buy. I'm like, you actually really don't.
You actually don't really.
You really don't.
You don't need to buy
a pillow.
anything.
Pumping comes with different costs than nursing. Yes, so that's an acknowledgement.
Yes. And then I will say the other side of things is people feel like it impacts their career, whether there's federal protections or not against pumping and leave and all that kind of stuff. People will say, well, I took extra time off and I feel like I was dinged at work, right? For promotions or that kind of thing, overlooked because they're like, oh, she's mom. She doesn't have her head in the game anymore, right?
You know what we need to talk about really quick?
Tell me.
Is when you're talking about costs, it is important that we recognize that it is not just the individual costs, right? So there's a reason why hospitals have been implementing baby-friendly initiatives. And it's not just because, you know, breastfeeding has all these benefits. It has cost benefits of hospitals because it is lowering these disease rates. Right. And it is lowering medical costs for babies having to be in the NICU longer, developing more severe diseases. So, I mean, the World Health Organization has some crazy statistics out there about how much medical costs would be saved with breastfeeding rates increasing. Right. So that is a very real thing to talk about.
This is another thing. Oh God, we could talk about this forever, but this is like literally in class yesterday, we were talking about the financial benefits of companies providing lactation support and providing lactation rooms at work or childcare at work. And not only for them to attract talent and retention, right? Because women are looking for mom-friendly places to work. Yeah. And you're attracting more talent if you have benefits that protect and help with those sorts of things. And so it's just so funny to think about the costs in that way, because as a breastfeeding mom, you might not think about that, but companies, same thing, like hospitals are businesses, and providing those sorts of things are financially helping.
Or even insurance companies making it so that lactation educators are covered by insurance. It's a cost thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because there are health benefits long term.
Yeah.
Yes. The last thing I want to talk about is just lifestyle, being up, making bottles. You're supposed to boil the water, then wait for it to cool down. You got to get up. You got to get up and make the bottles. There's systems, there's sterilization, there's bottle washing, there's all of these things, right? So like extra costs, but also time and systems and that kind of stuff. So when we talk about lifestyle, there's so many factors at play, and everybody has different opinions and different preferences, but it's not one thing fixes the other. One thing's better than the other. One thing's morally better than the other. It's just that there are different factors and different issues with each choice.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yes. So wrapping it up, we are moms.
Yeah, we are your biggest advocate no matter what decision you make. It's like first and foremost.
First and foremost.
We're not here to tell you what to do, ever.
We're here to talk about things, and this is a hard one to talk about because there's like pitchforks no matter what side you're on, but we're trying to not go there, and we're just trying to talk about the facts and the data and our experiences and things that we wish we would have known, and things we wish people would have told us, and things that people don't want to talk about because they don't want to get yelled at, but we're here to talk about them because that's real life.
And I feel like we want to be real lactation educators without talking about the elephant in the room. room.
Yes.
Which is formula.
And I'm just kind of so over that. Like
I'm so over it too.
I'm sorry, but we have to talk about these things
Yeah,
because
we have
otherwise
to.
people aren't going to know.
Yeah.
And being PC about everything is not going to help anyone.
No.
There are risks and benefits, and you got to talk about them. People need to know.
Yeah.
And that's that.
So
that's breastfeeding and formula.
Yeah.
You got to feed your baby one in the first year, and we're here to support you and talk about it, and you got this.
Yeah. And it's just about informed decision making, knowing all the facts, as always. With birth, pregnancy, everything.
Yes.
We're your informed decision making girlies.
Love it. We're all about it.
Yeah.
The end.
Thanks
for listening.
Thanks for listening to our TED Talk.
Yes. Let us know if you have any questions. And
see you next time.